YouTube. Yeah, excellent. There we go. All right. And we are live again.
Hooray.
Hooray. And that, everybody, is the delightful voice of my colleague and esteemed writer and connoisseur of all things culture. It's Justin Anderson.
Yes, and consumer of all things vulture is Mr. Culture Vulture over here. That's how
Very
we,
nice.
that's how we work. I eat the culture. He eats the vultures.
That's what I do.
Exposition for you guys.
And I hope you like Exposition, everyone. Because we are going to talk about House of the Dragon, episode 4.
Let's go.
Justin, are you a fan of Exposition?
Oh, like Exposition is my entire life, let me tell you. Like I bathe daily in Exposition. I through it to myself in the third person, just in case, to make sure I understand everything that's going on in my life.
I too like to carry an extra bag of Exposition with me at all times, just in case I run out. Can never get enough, apparently.
Oh, no.
That's the world we live in today. That's why shows today are so ram-packed with it. And so expensive to make. And so delightful to enjoy as a consumer, huh? Right. Yes. And there's a lot of Exposition in not just House of the Dragon, but also other shows going on. If you've had the time to see the delightful series that is Power as well. I like to joke about how a lot of exposition going on in House of the Dragon and how they have the narrator, the Galadriel thing going on, but in the Rings of Power, they literally have Galadriel doing the voiceover or the narration again. Again. So it's I don't know. Are people? I wonder about this exposition thing. Before we get started talking about the exposition, the episode, I wonder why. What is exposition? Well, Caroline, that's a good question. Thanks for tuning in, by the way, and welcome, Caroline. Exposition is when the show shows you something, exposes you what's going on, basically. When the show makes you understand what's happening. So, is that a good way of explaining what exposition is, Justin?
Say again?
Is that a good way of explaining what exposition is, to say that it's when the show is showing you what's going on or telling you what's going on?
Well, exposition can be good. Every show needs exposition.
Of course, I'm not saying every show necessarily a bad thing. Just talking about what it is.
Yes, it's helping you kind of it's context. It's giving you a direction for why what's happening makes sense. Hi, Matt. Hi, Araya. In some shows, they do it gracefully, and they do it very subtly, and they do it with the intent to entertain and enjoy. Exposition for foreshadowing.
Yeah, no, it's true.
This show doesn't do that.
There's a lot of great examples, of course, out there where the exposition is not clunky dialogue, like Uriah points out, where it's subtle, like you said, Justin. It's just natural, sort of organic, but at the same time exposing you to what's going on. So a big bad example of that is when somebody shows up and says, "Hello, brother," or "As your brother," I have to say, or as in House of the Dragon, there's a lot of "Yes, husband," "Hello, husband," Yes, cousin. Hello, cousin. And
Uh,
it's a little it's a bit much. It's a bit much, a tad over the top, if you ask me. And House of the Dragon is pulling out the big guns when it comes to exposition. So we're going to talk about that amongst other things, but first and foremost, Justin, and I want to put this question to everyone in the chat as well.
yes.
How do you guys rank?
Husband.
She does say husband a lot, doesn't she?
That's right. That was like, yes, husband. And I every time I roll my eyes and just die. Anytime Allison says yes, husband,
Right?
just because it's like a double-edged blade of just over clunky exposition. And I'm a woman, and I'm submitting to my husband, and that's my character.
That's all any woman in this series is, apparently. Just a woman. I'm not sure what the show's trying to tell us. Are they trying to tell us that women are not people? Because that's the impression I'm getting. Still not seeing any personality
You're
in
getting
any
sidetracked.
character.
You're getting sidetracked.
I'm sorry.
Focus.
I'm sorry.
Edward.
I'm sorry, Justin. Thank you for it. What would I do without you? I wanted to pose a question to everyone, and especially to save me, Prince Damon. Yes, that's exactly right, Caroline. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked again. How do you rank this episode? How do you rank this episode compared to the other ones? Because now I'm feeling like, I feel like we've had 4 episodes now. It is time to judge the show. It's time to slam our fist down into the table and say whether it's good enough or not. You feel me? Is that fair after 4 episodes?
4 episodes, the anime equivalent is you're supposed to give it 3, so we give it a whole extra one. So,
So we're beyond fair at this point.
And look at that. We have,
all
we
right.
have the dichotomy that we have. Exactly. I agree with Caroline.
And I
thought this
agree
was
with
the worst.
Sarah. What is this? Okay.
Now, keep in mind, we both think that all the episodes are kind of so like it's like ranking how much you enjoy getting stabbed in different places of your body.
Yeah,
but it is interesting to think about, because I was very put off by this episode, and like in part, like I'll admit, there were in parts of it I enjoyed and can see how some people would rank this as a higher episode. But for me, I just couldn't get behind it like at all.
Yeah,
it's just
I think
like in these. I'm loving these rankings. If everyone else got rankings, I'd love to see them.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. This is
your opinion, Edwin.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just looking at the comments here, and like I feel like we're gonna have a juicy debate today. So well, the reason I think it's the best episode is because something actually happens in this episode. Don't get me wrong, it's not a good episode. This is just me preferring to get stabbed in a different place of the body than you. And the reason I think it's the best one is because something actually happens. Characters are starting to have some resemblance of agency, expressing their desires instead of just complaining about things, and actually taking action sometimes. Now, I don't like the way they do it, but at least they're doing something. It feels like the story is finally getting pushed forward somewhere. And I haven't felt like that previously. I mean, previously, all they've done is exposition, and nothing's happened. I think Damon is about the only person who's done anything up until this point.
Literally.
But in this episode, in episode 4, we've got Rhaenyra taking action in. She goes along with Damon, and then she seduces Kristen Cole. Big surprise, whoop-de-doo, didn't see that coming. But it's something, right? But I still have to say, I mean, her character is just. I think I cut her some slack for being a boring, just uneventful character that just bopped around and pouted all the time and complaining. But now in episode 4, while she is doing something, she still isn't doing anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not much. Not much is going on, but at least she is doing something.
No one!
No one is doing anything. And I kind of liked the feeling I got throughout this episode was that the show is finally trying to do something. They're not doing it very well, but at least something's happening and they're trying to do something. They're trying to get the friction going between the characters. Horrible execution in every single instance. But, I see what they're trying to do, which, relatively speaking, is better than...
yeah.
Well, what do you think about that in terms of, like, agency? I think agency is a big thing for me. But what makes the other episodes better for you? And why is this the worst for you?
Decision in which shows I have to watch to get paid to watch.
No. Just the first episodes, the first 4 episodes. Why?
Oh, that. Oh,
how's it different for you?
How is it different?
Yeah, like what I just said. Why is this the worst, and what happened in previous episodes that you prefer, that you like better?
Well, maybe it's just because there's something more to happen. And this episode, they just said, "All right." Thinking, oh God, they like quarreling, they like girl power, they like sex. That's right. I forgot. How could we forget? And so they dedicated like a half an hour in the episode to like 3 different people having sex, one after the other, and all differently kind of weird, awkward like reasons. One was awkward because it was incest. One was awkward because it was pretty much a dying man with a woman who's just not even a character anymore. And the third one because it was like 10 minutes. It felt like to me.
Yeah.
They just...
No, the scenes are extremely long. I don't get how they... what their plan is here. Because... I think that is something I want to talk extensively about. I want to have a long scene of me talking about how long the scenes are. So I don't know if you've noticed, but in a lot of recent shows, it's the same thing. Like the scenes are extremely long, and I don't know if this is some kind of counterculture thing where they're just lashing out at people having short attention spans or something, and then just like doing it to spite us or something. But anyway, the scenes are extremely long, and the sentences that the characters speak, like I've noticed this in editing when I've been making these in a nutshell videos, that the sentences are like divided into 2 parts, with an extremely long pause in between the 2 halves. So it's like, Rhaenyra, listen to me. You're my daughter. It's like,
no,
come on, like,
stop it.
And no, it's ridiculous sometimes how long these scenes. And with these extreme time restraints that they have so much to cover in one season's time, apparently. That's why they have to skip so many of the events and give us cheesy exposition to cover up for that, and then make massive time jumps so that they can get to the next part that they need to cover, the next milestone. They don't let the show breathe, but they let every scene breathe, like, and so long for like it's just crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and nothing else in the episode got me like I liked. Okay, look, I like the idea of Damon coming back because he is literally the best character, and by best character I mean the only one that's doing anything.
The only
for
character.
A goal.
He's the only character.
He has a goal and he has plans that we're trying to figure out, you know. And it's good to have him back doing things. I like the princess going off like you know, the classic Aladdin bit of sneaking away and seeing what the kingdom is like.
Yeah.
But it just felt so half baked, you know. And
yeah, because nothing happened.
Nothing happened. We don't see people changing their the most thing that happened, like, and I saw people talking about it. You know, obviously Rhaenyra and Cole, that became a thing for reasons. And I guess they sort of set that up a little bit. So, like, sure, whatever. Otto got fired, which would have been more interesting if he.
Oh my god!
If they, I'll let you have the better way of. I heard we talked about it a little bit before, but you, Viserys and Otto have entered the chat. And
let me take it away. Yeah, that's fair enough, Uriah.
Yes,
Viserys and Otto are also characters in this show. Not always, though, I have to say. Otto, I think, is portrayed exceptionally well by Rhys Ifans, by the way. Can't stop talking about that. I would put him on the same pedestal as Matt Smith and Damon. However, the script for his character is just awful at times, and he doesn't get... Anyway, they are characters, that's true. So what was I going to say?
Sorry, before we talk about Otto, what do you think about Alfredo's comment about... I haven't finished watching Game of Thrones, Alfredo, so I don't know for sure, but beyond what I've already seen. Yay, the audio. Glad to hear that.
Thanks for the super chat.
Glad the audio is working. We've been working day and night to make sure that
hard
you can hear what we're saying.
You hear complete sentences.
But Alfredo, how does this compare to late
Game of Thrones?
With a joke or a setting or and then they spent like so long on it and then just talked about it the whole rest of the episode. It was really ridiculous how much time they spent either showing it or talking about it. In my book, how does it compare in your mind to end season Game of Thrones?
End season Game of Thrones. Well, there wasn't a lot of that in the later seasons because I think they started listening to the loud minority of people who cares about that for some reason. Early Game of Thrones is where the most pointless sex is. Exactly, Uriah. We're finishing each other's sentences. Oh my god. No, it's true. There is a lot of pointless sex, but at the same time, it's not in the way. I mean, for me, it's not getting in the way. It does kind of set a tone, and they sex scenes or anything like that. It doesn't matter. But it didn't get in the way. It wasn't like those scenes were so long it took up precious screen time like it does here in House of the Dragon. And towards the second half and the end of Game of Thrones, it's... they really toned it down. I think probably because they listened to the people who didn't like it. And, well, they just listened to the people who... had anything to say, really, and just tried to please everyone, is what I think. Except the people who sat quietly back and just tried to enjoy Game of Thrones for what it's supposed to be. They didn't listen to those people because they didn't have anything to say because they were just enjoying the ride. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The sex was all very sensible, in my opinion. Like even the sexual violence was sensible in Game of Thrones. It's funny how it seems to me, I could be wrong, but the same people who who make the case that we don't need to see certain things. We don't need to see sexual violence. Yeah, it's true. We don't need to see it, but we don't need to see anything. It's not getting in the way. So what's the problem? You don't like it? Okay, I understand that. But then the same people might say that, I don't know, like saying what the House of the Dragon show is now trying to cram down our throats, that women used to be baby machines and that's all they were to society. It's like, okay, we get it. We get it. I don't know. It's like, do we need that theme said all the time over and over? I don't know. We don't need anything. But it's nice to have certain themes, certain events, certain happening to set the tone. It doesn't have to be all the time. It certainly doesn't have to be crammed down our throats, and maybe it was a bit much at times. But honestly, I don't think it got in the way. Not for me, anyway. And I'm not someone who particularly enjoys those sex. Not like I'm sitting here wishing there was more of it. The only porn I'm after is Tyrion's dialogue. That's the porn I like. You know?
Oh my god.
Come on. You gotta
someone stop this man. Please stop him.
Please go ahead and stop me. You give your opinion on the matter. You've seen the first half of Game of Thrones now, season 1 to 4.
I have seen it. And Tyrion is probably one of the best reasons to watch Game of Thrones.
There we go.
That's fair. Regardless, and Alfredo makes a point about how like there are reasons behind what they showed in this episode, but for me, it was the fact that this whole episode felt like it was it was like dedicated to sex. It was just this whole episode. Game of Thrones has a perfect balance of jumping around to other things and blending it all together. Here, I mean, not perfect, obviously, because sometimes they wait too long. But there is a better balance, a far better balance. The pacing is there. Everything is moving forward for a reason. And there's action and adventure and dialogue that I can actually listen to and quote because they're actual words being said by people that have meaning. Here in this episode, I can't say that. It was literally just them talking about, Damon's back, and then here's a bunch of sex, and then here's us talking about how, that sex is bad, how dare you. That was literally the last half of the episode. It's just like 20 minutes dedicated to sex, 20 more minutes dedicated to sex. Oh no, sex.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I was just losing my mind by the end of it. I was just like, I don't care this much.
Best episode ever.
I care a little bit because best episode ever. I care a little bit because like it's an interesting thing about her problem of trying to find a lover, and that's part of it, obviously. It's just so hard to deal with. I don't know. That's my thing. It's just too much. They need more things. Hopefully, like everyone's been saying, that when they actually get through all this exposition and setup, when we actually get Rhaenyra as a fully grown character and all the other characters in the future, we'll have a show. But right now, we don't have a show. And this episode sealed that for me. That this show is just that one thing happening in an episode, and then everyone just setting up to it and talking about it after it happens, and nothing else.
Kind of feels like you could watch this series in any given order, like the episodes just in any given order, and you'll get the full kind of story within the episode, and then nothing matters in the next episode. So it's more of a sitcom, really. Thank you for the super chat again, Sarah, with the point made that scenes are too long and people having small attention spans. I mean, do you really think, Sarah, that it is just me having a short attention span that I think the scenes are too long? Because, like, if I compare it to Game of Thrones, I feel like it's not that the scenes are long, but it's just that it takes so long for the characters to say anything, right? So I'm actually going to, for the next video, for the episode 4 in a nutshell, I was thinking to do a word count to see how many words are actually being said in each episode, and compare that to the first 4 episodes of Game of Thrones, and get some sort of average out of that. Because I just feel like nothing's being said, nothing's being done, nothing is happening, and the scenes are really long. And it's not because I have a short attention span. I really don't think so, and I'm going to prove it. I'm on a mission to prove this shit.
Yay!
Yeah. So that's what I think. And I mean, Tyrion's dialogue was so substantial. That's why we love it. It was witty and substantial. It led somewhere. Like, he could make things happen by just talking, right? There were a lot of characters in Game of Thrones. So people talked, but it wasn't just talking. It was action. Like, talking was action also. But in this show, it isn't. It's barely talking. The talking is barely talking as it is. I feel. and there's just
word vomit.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so let's actually talk about the talking. So the conflicts. What are the characters up to amongst each other? Like, what are their relationships going? Like, where is it all going? We've got a few major conflicts in this episode. The first one being Rhaenyra and Viserys being at it again for the 3rd episode in a row, having the exact same problem of just not communicating with each other. With the difference being that they don't resolve it at the end of the episode. And I'm just sitting here thinking, guys, did you learn nothing from episode 2 and 3 where you sat down and talked it out like adults? And I'm just flabbergasted how they went and did it 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row, Justin. Stop me and say something.
Stop you. I don't want to cut you off because, like, I hear what you're saying and I know you're right. It's just so. At this point, I've lost hope for the show until the time skip happens. I know there's a big time skip coming. Yeah. Probably before the end of the season. Do you think it's going to happen?
Episode 6
at the halfway mark.
I'm fairly certain it's episode 6 because I've seen the trailer, so I know that there's more to come from young Rhaenyra and Alicent. But also they've propped up the older actors as the sort of main cast of the show, so I would suspect that they get at least half screen time. So I expect that 5 episodes will be dedicated to young Rhaenyra and 5 episodes. I think.
Well, we can hope.
Well, No, what do you think about her character development? Let's talk more about conflict, but what do you think about her character development?
She hasn't had any development.
But that's what I mean, like in the time jump. That's what I was going to say. Like, when they time jump to her being a bit older, do you think that the problems that she has right now, and what I mean problems with her character being not a character and just moping around, do you think these issues will be solved with the time jump?
I can only hope, but I fear, like, from what we've seen, unless here's the problem. If they change her to be a better character for a reason other than, hey, time has passed, hey, I'm a good character now, that feels cheap as well. Like, I'll be happy to have an actual character wanting to do things and, that good stuff. But I'd like to see some of the transformation, at least part of it, if that makes sense. Like, for example, seeing people change over time. I think a good example, again, I don't know how much this is true at this point, but seeing, oh God, this is killing me. You guys are all gonna laugh at
Sansa,
me. You have permission. I hate you because you know what the problem is.
Daenerys?
You can point and laugh at me. No, brother.
Brother Bran?
No, my brother.
Jamie.
Who said it? My sister.
My
Jamie Lannister. Bloody hell.
Jesus Christ, Justin. Jamie.
I can't remember names. I can't remember names. I will never remember names. I don't remember. That's why I call him Culture Vulture. I don't know who I'm talking to because that's the only thing I can remember. He had a very honest change at the end, like in the fourth season, third and fourth season, where you can see that change and why it happened and where it caused and whatnot. If they just time jump and just have her be a character after something terrible happens next episode or something.
Yeah, that's also going to be
that's
really,
so
really bad. Yeah.
That's so cheap.
But it's better that she becomes a character eventually, though, right? Sorry to cut you.
Yes, but it's still cheap. It's still wrong to hear that, to think that's what's going to happen. And I feel like that's what's going to happen at this point. Something terrible is going to happen next episode that's going to kind of put her on the path of change and make her more of a character. And then we'll have the time jump, and then we'll have things actually start to happen. I hope
they're gonna plant. They're gonna plant a seed for sure. There's gonna be a trauma. I think that's fairly predictable, right? And by the way, guys, get your predictions in because with the time jump, I think if we can get some hot predictions in before the time jump, that's gonna be really to. But anyway. I think that a seed in the shape of a trauma is going to happen in the next episode, and that is going to be a big deal for her after the time jump still, which is going to be like a cornerstone of her character, and it's going to put her on a dark path, most likely. Yeah. What do you think about that? Justin.
Yeah, you cut out.
Okay. Okay. Well, I actually wanted to get back to something Alfredo said. What did you guys think about Missaria getting paid for giving Otto information through a child spy? I thought that was pretty uneventful thing. That didn't hit me as hard as it probably should, as they probably intend it to be. It was a cheeky little kind of double agent thing that they introduced there, and I don't really think much of it because Missaria is not a developed character, and I don't care about her at all. Like many other characters, and her especially, because I'm really annoyed at how they try to force agenda that is her character and kind of shove it down our throats without actually even putting salt and pepper and some sugar on her first. It's just a very bland spoonful of just flour or something. Like, here, eat this Missaria soup. Missaria, eat it. And I'm like, no. That's too bland. Not for me. Sorry. Take over, Justin. I don't know what I'm doing. What did you think about that scene? Help me.
I feel nothing. The show. It's amazing how much of the show has just like numbed my. Has just vision in general. I don't know what to feel anymore.
I feel like they're lowering the bar. They're lowering the bar, and then hopefully this is all a big ploy to subvert our expectations in the long run by making something so poor, and then coming back and hitting us with a massive the second coming of Game of Thrones. That's my wishful thinking.
Yeah. It's not worth it at this point. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like this would have to be set up for a damn fine latter half of a show to make this slog of exposition and just terrible characters worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's no payoff. There's not much build up to begin with, and there's no payoff to speak of.
There's no build up. There's no there's consequences, but there's been consequences for our main person we're following right now, and just everyone's just kind of living life in King's Landing, just la-di-da, and except for Daemon, who, as again, is the best character in this show simply because he's doing things.
Yeah.
What a standard.
Yeah, no, his actions
Sorry
actually
if I'm
has
loud.
bearing on the narrative and consequences that last longer than the extent of the. So yeah, let's see what is next. I wanted to keep talking about conflicts. So we had that Rhaenyra Viserys again, where they just do the same old non-communicative silent treatment, sort of again without talking to each other. And then we have Rhaenyra and Alicent, who kind of get into a little bit of a artificial, really contrived, strange argument over her going out to her thing in the night. And I was talking to my dear editor Shukri about this yesterday as we watched the episode together. That Rhaenyra and Alicent's argument over her going out with Daemon and kind of soiling her reputation, let's say. It seems like Alicent has a problem with this because she's jealous, because she's, as they said, locked in a castle producing babies. And she has no agency and she has no life. She's no longer herself. She is the queen now, so she's locked in this role. Boo-hoo. Patriarchy bad. If you guys didn't know, the patriarchy is bad and women get to be people, so let's not show them being people whenever we could. Not take that opportunity. Anyway, so her problem is probably that, but I'm not sure. Because the show isn't really saying that. They're not making that point. They're just creating artificial tension for the sake of cheap drama, I guess. What did you make of that scene? It was such a strange bit of friction between.
Which two? It was the
Rhaenyra and Alicent. When Alicent confronts Rhaenyra for going out, and having a big problem with that. So it's like, I want to help you, so I'm gonna berate you for doing this. It's like, what? Did I miss something?
Because like their relationship is so on ice at this point because of they didn't really fix their relationship, but then they pretended to at the beginning of this episode, so we could have that scene. You know?
Yeah.
It was odd. It was interesting, but like I still felt it was a little odd, given that, given the circumstances of. We're going to be hearing this from literally every other perspective in King's Landing of people talking about this.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I just felt like the show's trying to make 2 points at the same time that are completely contradictory. So first you've got Alicent sort of having a problem with Rhaenyra, and so this is causing friction now. And but at the same time, she wants to be her friend and she wants to help her, which is a gotta be show. What are you telling me? Anyway, so that was the second conflict that I didn't. The third one is Otto getting fired. Sorry, what did you say? You cut out for a little.
About Otto being fired for the next 60 seconds, if you will. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't know, like this scene just made about as little sense as possibly could. We all know and love the scheming creature that is Otto Hightower by now, because Exposition has made sure that we know very well what he is all about. And I just feel like the things that he has done, scheming his way to the top, putting his daughter next to the king, making sure he has a grandson in contention for the throne. These are all very concrete, very ambitious moves, very obvious as well. But what makes the straw that breaks Viserys' back is when he relays information about Rhaenyra. what she got up to the night before, which is actually a very it's not an ambitious move. It's not a move against the king or anyone else. I mean, yeah, it kind of is against the host, but it's just so weird how Viserys sees this relaying of information as sort of a treacherous act, and then not only does Viserys react badly to that for the weirdest reason, he then goes on to actually first he says, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe you, Otto. It can't be true. But then he goes to confront Daemon, saying, oh, it is true. This information that I have is true, and I'm punishing you for that. So he's like punishing Otto for giving him false information. He acts on that information as if it were true to punish Daemon. And I'm like, which is it gonna be, show? I just don't know what the show is trying to tell me sometimes, and that's such a strange thing to say, because the show makes it very clear what it's trying to say all the other times. I don't know, man. It's the balance here, the expositional balance is very off. It looks nice though. The costumes are nice and vibrant, right? And the CGI is only dodgy sometimes. So. Great show, right? What did you make of those laying of information and the way Viserys handled all that? Justin, are you there? Justin, are you there?
You were cutting out there for a second.
Oh, okay.
What were you saying?
I was just asking you there. How Viserys handled the find it to be contradictive? Or
I did. I was because it was back and forth that whole time, and it was just on both sides, but they didn't have a way to write it to be both sides, going back and forth. So they just did it anyways.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, we're in agreement then. What did you make of?
And especially with the ending where he pretends to be like, I've noticed all these things that you've been doing, Otto, but now I've decided. And it took almost no compelling from Rhaenyra to get him to do that. Like, if this was a bigger treason, like if they emphasized how big of a treason it was, like how much he has been spying on her, that would be one thing. But like, it was literally just a facet of like, hey, I got information saying your daughter went to this whore bar, and then it's like, oh, how dare you?
Yeah,
and you're fired. And what are you gonna do?
How dare you provide me with information that I wish weren't true? And then, how dare you, Damon, how dare you create a situation that could possibly create information that could be relayed to me like that? Oh, anyway. No, it doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to retcon some sense into this, but I am failing. I think we've covered all the conflict so far. I would like to talk about a completely different conflict that has to do with the story at large. The war in the Stepstones. What about that? What happened there? With all this hype, and then with all the cinematography and the cool action scenes that made total sense. It seems to me that whole war had literally no consequence whatsoever, other than, well, them saying that Corlys is now the one who controls the Stepstones and the Narrow Sea. And I'm just like, okay, what does that mean? Some exposition, please. Can't believe I'm asking for more exposition here, but you're not making it clear what's so bad with having your master of ships controlling the narrow sea. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me. But apparently it's not great because the king didn't marry his daughter, so now that's probably going to be a problem, but we're not going to tell you why. Am I missing something, Justin? What did you...
I do think it was, as Missy said, like it did feel like filler because it was a reason to give Damon away and bring him back. I feel like they wanted it to not be filler because at first it felt like this was like this big grand thing that was going to happen because of this, and then it just kind of fizzles and doesn't become anything, and you're just like, what? Why did we do all that then? Like they build it up to be this thing and have that like giant like 20-minute fight with all this visual effects. They're like, whoa, and then it ends up being nothing. It's strange.
Yeah, no, Uriah makes a good point there after Mrs. point. It's complete filler of that side of the story. They haven't given any weight to stepstones. We don't know why the stepstones or the narrow sea is important. They did mention once that that trade might be choked off and it will cripple the drift mark. That okay. Well, I don't, like, you've said that, but I don't feel it because you haven't showed me yet. Like, the show hasn't shown us why like what the consequences of this war are yet. It's just been this thing over there that people, hear about, but we don't see the consequences. We don't see life in King's Landing, which is where the show is taking place. We don't see that life being impacted at all by this war. They just keep talking, keep saying, but not showing. They keep telling, but not showing. Breaking the first rule of storytelling.
Not the first rule.
That come back, have a bigger impact once a certain marriage happens or not happens. We'll see about Lena being married to the Sea Lord of Bravos, which is alluded to in the books, let's say. What are your predictions for what's going to happen, Justin? Where is this all going? I mean, nothing is happening, but what do you think is going to happen? Based on what hasn't happened yet.
What?
Based on the show yet, where do you think this is going next?
There's going to be, obviously, this is all going to be for the crown. Everyone and everything is focused on the crown, and for better or for worse. And most of the people fighting for it, people killing for it. We'll have to wait and see what comes of the crown and what costs come from people killing each other, dragons killing each other, all that good stuff. I'd to be a much sadder, because we know this isn't going to end well.
Right.
For the Targaryens.
Did see the pyre burning in episode 3. Very symbolic.
Well, I mean,
very subtle.
I think we all know what actually happens, like how much the Targaryens lose out in the end of all this. I want this to be showing off the beginning of the end for their line.
Right.
But right now we just have people talking about how sex things. Stop it. It's bad.
Yeah.
That was this episode.
Yeah.
Last episode is, hey, you got to get married. Hurry up.
Yeah. Having sex and being your own person is bad. Go play a role in society, why don't you? That's what it's all about. Individualism bad. And then secretly we're all supposed to cheer for Rhaenyra, the symbol of individualism.
I want to cheer for Rhaenyra. I really do. because there's parts of her that are interesting that want me to get behind her, but she is not a good character at all. She hasn't deserved it. She hasn't earned anything yet.
Yeah.
At most, she has been a little witty and
A little witty, yeah,
smart
when she
enough to
dunked
like
on that
figure
old
out
lady for
a little
serving
witty.
the realm by eating cake.
Well, that and that she is very much more practical in what she asks for people to do. Like she's like, "Oh, I want Sir Christian Cole to be my guard because he is literally the only one of you that has experience fighting people."
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, wait, you can't do that." And he's just like, "No, that makes sense because of course it makes sense."
Yeah.
Like she's a lot more realistic and not caught up by political intrigue, which it's like that's cool, that's interesting. I wish that was more of her character rather than it just being a lot of the like side stuff and a lot more minimal.
Yeah, sure.
It's just sad.
Yeah. No, I think that scene that you're mentioning there about her choosing Kristen Cole is an interesting one and an interesting way to compare Game of Thrones to House of the Dragon in that she's being very practical there, which is very Game of Thrones of them, and that's good. But the way the rebuke comes in is not very Game of Thrones. So, got Rhaenyra, and then you've got Otto coming in and saying, "Hey, that's not a good choice." And then I made the joke in my video about episode 2 there that this is not going to have any consequence. Let's not fool ourselves here. But what I think would have happened in Game of Thrones is that you have her make this choice. Nobody says anything. However, in another scene, the next episode or later in the episode, you see the person being, the people who didn't get chosen. They go and do something. They go and take action as a consequence of that choice. They might aid her enemies or something. They might do something because there's got to be consequences to choices because that's kind of what Game of Thrones is about, partly. Anyway. Right. Okay. Well, okay. This is interesting. What Uriah is bringing up there about.
I'll let you read the
Rhaenyra
comments because anytime I try to pull up the comments, apparently my internet crashes. Like, for a second.
I see. Well, it's about Rhaenyra and Kristen.
That's the problem here.
Yeah. Okay. So Uriah's seen some people calling Rhaenyra's seduction of Kristen Cole rape because of the power imbalance thing. That's interesting. And I think that's another one of these like sort of contemporary takes, which is not bad in itself, I think. But we do have to, I guess with this show we don't have to, but ideally we should be able to look at this story and look at it and appreciate that there's a different perspective and an older perspective that we are not used to in our everyday lives because it's supposed to be in the medieval times, where something like this probably was normal. A powerful person having their way with someone because they can. I mean that still happens, right? But it's a very modern take to talk about calling it rape. To go so far as to call it rape because of power imbalance. Sorry, what?
If we didn't have at least some, because we've had some good interactions between the two of them where they've become friends and trust. You see them a little bit more trusted. I could see the imbalance be seen if it was like with a character of much less, connection. But it's. I don't know if that's the way it is. We'll have to see. But that's a hard call to make for any type of show about like where is that line? I'm not I'm not a queen with power to to make men want to have sex with me.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to
reasons.
relate. Just because you're not of the same demographic and stature, it doesn't matter. You still be able to relate. That's the show's job, is to make you relate.
I am Targaryen. I forgot to tell you. I am.
Oh, that's
Targaryen
why you can relate partially then. Okay, well I'm not Targaryen. I'm
my
baseborn.
grandmother's side.
I'm scum. That's why I can't relate. It's impossible.
Everyone point and laugh at this man for not being Targaryen like me.
Exactly. Better make fun of me, challenge me to a duel, so that I can surprise you and kill you without any consequence whatsoever. Middle of a meeting. People really shouldn't be killing each other. What a bad scene that was.
Let's talk about something more general about the show that we have a problem with. The opening. We haven't had a chance to talk about that yet.
You have a problem with the opening?
I have a problem with the opening.
The opening is like the only thing that is consistent and doesn't suck at any point. What? What's your problem with the opening, Justin?
Because it's literally the same. It's just a worse Game of Thrones opening with literally the same song. I was expecting. I was like, okay, did they get like this? They get a new song, new track. What we got? It's like, oh, nope, here we go again. Okay, different show, but same song, whatever.
But totally not Game of Thrones.
Visual, like I get it. I get the visuals and what they're there for. It's like, oh, look at the bloodlines and the lineage and the connecting. It's all connected, and there's a dragon. It's fine, but it's literally just liquid physics. We're just watching. Like, I like the Game of Thrones opening because it adds presence to the world and kind of helps us realize, like, oh, this is the world that we're seeing and all the where everything's happening. They can't do that for this one because everything is happening in King's Landing and nowhere else.
Yeah. Oh, there was that part of the Kingswood, though. They were in the Kingswood. I guess that's still in the.
They were in the Kingswood.
That's still King's Landing, though.
And they were on a bridge for a little bit.
And they were on a hill in the Stepstones, and the dragon landed there.
Very, very top tier locations. They got scouting out there. Very good.
And then they were on that beach that they showed many times. Cinematographic experience on the thing. The dragon came.
I just feel like they should have done more. I feel like there could have been a lot more intrigue you could have done with the bloodline stuff, rather than just showing blood flowing for 40 seconds or a minute and 20 seconds.
Then, Mr. Know-It-All, how would you have done it differently?
Well, how would yes, that's the problem with all critiquing, is that they have to have an answer for what could have been better. I just think they should have had something more visually appealing, or a bit more looking at colorful.
Well, that's a big difference.
The opening for Game of Thrones wasn't colorful.
It was pretty colorful.
It had color.
Yeah, it wasn't gray and stone, and whatever it is in this new one is very gray. It's like stone. Stone.
I wish it was more interactive. If not interactive, like, I don't want to choose your own adventure opening. It's literally just there's just it's gray ground cement and water physic blood, and it's moving, and that's the opening. It's just like, I would have liked it to see, like, maybe it traveling through King's Landing. Like, the blood starts and you just see it going down like the waterways or something, and you can it going to different parts of the city of like bloodlines and whatnot.
Right, with bastards being born in pleasure houses.
Yes, that would be a lot more interesting, because that also helps emphasize the fact that, hey, we're in King's Landing. This is the main hub.
Right.
This is the focus. This is where all of this is taking place, and this is why it's taking place. That feels more interesting rather than just underneath the city somewhere, probably just these blood fountains that are just pouring for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have
helped characterize the city as well, and just
I suppose that's right. They should have focused more on King's Landing. I will agree with that. That's true. I kind of liked seeing it start in Valyria, though, and seeing it going down. I did watch Alt Shift X's take on that, and that it's since it's flowing down. I mean, where else would it flow? But it symbolizes a decline in power and whatever, and that the bloodline is getting weaker, probably. So I kind of enjoy that. Sarah with the super chat says that it adds presence. It shows where the blood hits and does not. I may be wrong, but each episode is different. Yeah, I think you are right about that, because Game of Thrones used to do that. I haven't been paying attention. I've just been skipping past it, to be honest, because it's the same freaking theme song that I've heard for the last 12 years. So I've been skipping past it and not paying attention at all.
I'll not skip the next one. So that next week you can yell at me if I do that again.
I will yell at you no matter what. Thank you very much.
That's what you paid me for.
That is the deal. No, the opening blood didn't hit that high tower is something that Sarah mentioned. That it didn't hit high tower this time. Okay, I didn't. Well, since I didn't pay attention, I didn't notice that. But it could be. Is it that? Why is that? Does that make any sense? It has to hit high tower.
For Otto being fired.
They cut the bloodline off by firing the guy. Well, I mean, the bloodline is literally solidified with Alicent having children, so that does not make sense. I would be very surprised.
But I mean, Otto can't technically be the king. I'm the one trying to push this. He has no more say in the matter, at all.
Right, but the bloodlines remain, don't they? If Viserys has children by Alicent, then that's it. Well, anyway, let's pay attention to that and talk about that next episode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've basically covered everything that there is to say about this episode. I mean, nothing really happened, so I'm surprised we even strung together a whole hour.
No. Something did happen. Sex happened.
Yes.
And we talked about it.
We talked about it. Agency, character agency, people actually taking action, showing desire. Daemon asking to marry Rhaenyra, for example. I kind of like that.
Like a homeroom sex ed class. So we saw a video and we talked about it. That was the show. That was this episode.
Yes, a sex show like you do in the vibrant city. Is it? I don't know. It just feels like everything is so cliche.
Hope. I have hope for the latter half. I have some hope that they, even if they don't build up to it and it's going to be dumb, that they advance the characters to be actual characters in the latter half. I have hope that maybe they will be doing stuff and we'll have interesting things to balance between. Because I also think when that happens, that's also going to help split the houses and split the focus between more groups.
Yeah. Rather
than just everything focused on everyone involved in King's Landing. I want there to be more separation, because the more we separate, the more we kind of start making plans, and we start seeing people plotting and having different opinions and doing different things.
Anything at all.
Yeah. People split up and do things, do new things, fun things, anything.
Be friends and hold hands for all I care. Do something.
So that there is a chance.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just wait until this time skip happens and see what becomes the show then.
Yeah. Very good.
If you disagree with me, forgive me. You feel free to yell.
No, I do agree. I kind of like how you did raise my spirit a smidge there, because I do want this show to be great. I want this to be Game of Thrones good, but I've been thoroughly disappointed so far, and hope is the last thing to leave, right? So I'm gonna hold on to that notion that you've just presented me with, that it might just pick up after the big time jump. I hope. I have a dream, Westeros. I have a dream. So on that note, shall we wrap this wonderful experience with fine-ish audio quality up?
well, there was a little of a few hiccups. I don't know if it was both of us or just me. But like we have improved audio. Audio is moving up. We're evolving every week. Soon we'll have an entire stream go without a hitch, and we look forward to having that with y'all.
Yeah. Very, very well. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, your takes are always really interesting to discuss. Yours especially, dear Justin. Another super chat from Sarah to wrap things up. A quote from George R. R. Martin himself. It's a show of great characters. Meaning it's up to the audience to decide. I hope it picks up. Great show, guys. Well, thank you, Sarah. I hope you meant great show as in the stream. Or maybe you meant great show as in House of the Dragon.
No,
who knows?
She can't be talking about.
She can't be.
She's not talking about us. There's no way.
No way.
There's no way.
But you know what? I did feel really hopeful when I did see that quote. Sarah is, of course, pointing out a quote that I used in my What to Expect from House of the Dragon video, and that really made me hopeful. But now I realize that what he meant with a show of great characters is that they're not colorful. They don't have any personalities. And I just completely misinterpreted that quote entirely. So jokes on us for thinking that was going to be good. Anyway.
Oh, don't drag me into this.
Yeah. No, I won't. Thanks, Alfredo, for sticking with us and for complimenting on us on the improved audio. We work hard on this every week to make it a joyful experience and inclusive for all. Yeah, no, thank you, Araya. Thank you for sticking with us since episode 1 and providing many good insights and takes as well. And Sarah, of course, always right there in our corner. What this stream and channel would not be the same without you. I really mean that. And the same could be said for you, Justin. Thank you very much for sticking by, even though the audio has had its ups and downs, let's say. And for being a lovely addition
the rest of this, aren't we?
Huh?
This means we're streaming the rest of this, aren't we?
I am afraid it is. Yes, that is what it means. We've committed to this.
Well,
Let's
guys,
do this
we'll
shit.
See you next week.
All right, that's a good way to end,
Fingers
guys.
Crossed, fellas.
Yep. So yeah, let's hope
Ladies
we can improve even more. And thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Love you too. Love you guys. Looking forward to the next episode. Honestly, I do. I still do. So yeah, with that said, have a great week, everybody. See you next week.
Adios.
Bye-bye.